Hey, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon,
Hello.
maybe good evening.
We're going to just give a minute to let everyone actually get into the room before we get started. I know y'all will be in chat on your own. You don't need us to tell you to do that. But introduce yourselves in chat. Say hi to one another. Yeah, I know with an international audience, it could be any time of day for anyone. There they all go.
Oh, wow.
Let me just give it another minute and let some folks come in and get connected.
Definitely an international audience.
It is. I know this is exciting to see where everybody's connecting from. I see lots of familiar names popping up.
I can see some of our loyal Royal members as well in the chat. So hello, Joyce. Hello, Tracy. Kerry's joined as well. Hi. Wow. Chicago, Canada. Hi, Heidi. Wow.
All right. Shall we? I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do some quick introductions, I think, first, so that will give some more folks time to pop in, join, and pop in the chat. But I will kick us off. I think I know a lot of you, but for those of you who may not know me, I am Melissa Mahoney. I am currently serving as the CEO of IAAP, the International Association of Administrative Professionals. I think probably most of you know who we are, but very happy to be here with Skevi and Chris. I would love to give you both an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Oh, so yeah, thank you, Melissa. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us for this call today. So I'm Skevi Constantinou. I'm based in Birmingham in England, United Kingdom. And yeah, it's just amazing to be here today to help you all, celebrate you all and support you. And I used to be a former executive assistant myself, and now I am the founder and director of the PA Way.
Thanks, Skevi. We're glad to be here with you. So, hi to all. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chris Cason, and I'm the executive admin and partner to Melissa Mahoney, our CEO, who just introduced herself. And thrilled to be here with these two lovely leaders to also collaborate and network and talk about what tools are available to all of us. So thank you for being here. And I know several of you, but glad to meet those that I don't know, especially on the Royal side, and look forward to our discussion today.
Great. So Chris is going to help kind of monitor chat for us and Q&A. And we really wanted to make this very conversational, similar to the last Fireside Chat that Skevi and I did together, which was too long ago, 2 years, I think, since we were together on screen. So very excited to just have a conversation about what we see happening in the profession, things that might be impacting you all. And we would love to hear from you too. If you have questions or you have thoughts that you'd like for us to discuss today, feel free to pop those in chat. We will do our very best to get to as many as we possibly can. And again, this is very conversational, very fireside chat style. So not an agenda-driven discussion today, really just conversation between us and you. So any specific, I feel like we could probably kick us off just by talking about our experience maybe in preparation for this call today. Skevi and I were just talking offline about this idea when you see other people out there kind of doing the thing, who are very present externally or presenting or in formal leadership roles like Skevi and I are, we tend to make assumptions that those people have everything together. You know, they're super polished or aren't nervous about presenting to folks, and that is absolutely not the case for us anyway. Personally, I know I can speak for myself and say, I still get anxiety when I'm preparing for any sort of presentation or even a very conversational moment like this, presenting in front of a group of people who I feel are very near and dear to my heart. I feel like a member of this community, and I still feel, a sense of responsibility and some nerves that come up for me when I'm walking into these spaces. So I do feel like the idea of confidence is a great place for us to start. And maybe we thought if we could share a little bit of our experience with you, that might give you some insight into what confidence maybe is and what it isn't. Some of the things that we make assumptions about, that it might be that it really is not, and having it all together, I think is oftentimes a facade. When you really uncover what's going on beneath the surface, I think most people, even the people who present the most confidently, experience some form of, we'll call it anxiety for the sake of, not necessarily knowing how every person might define it for themselves. Would you say that's true for you too, Skevi?
Yeah, I mean, I went from full-time executive assistant to just with one dedication and mission, which has very much remained the same, that I really want to support and celebrate administrative professionals and to have our voice heard as one profession. And so for me, it was a matter of kind of, our mantra at the PA Way since we've started has always been level up. And for me personally, I was like, how do I level up and push my comfort zone? Even though inside I might have been super anxious, to create my own personal brand, but also have the mission attached that I want to help and support this incredible community. So for me, it was kind of like face the fear, strap into that roller coaster and do it anyway. And I had this mindset of, if what's the worst that could happen? And I was like, if I don't give myself a try or try to pursue opportunities, then I'm back where I started. But if something comes from it, then I've gained from it. And I just started networking around where I used to work here in Birmingham. Started doing canapes and drinks, networking events with assistants to like learn best practice. Because whilst I had at that point lots of experiences as an executive assistant working in different roles, my background originally was hospitality. So for those who may not know, I originally trained as a chef when I left school. So I did that for 3 years and then went off into catering and then had to change career. And for me, it was kind of like pushing myself, getting out there, networking, which I think is so, so important in our role, because networking opens such a wealth of opportunities as well, but also facing my own kind of like anxiety and confidence issues to kind of be like, okay, keep going and motivating myself.
Yeah. And I actually think that networking piece, it's easy to see people that you admire, whether it's on screen or, when you're attending an event, you see someone presenting and you get that sense of like, I want what they have, but I'm not sure how to get it. And, yes, can I push past my own fear and step outside of my comfort zone? But some of that networking piece is really connecting with the folks you admire. And I have found time and time again, even the people who I think might be the most unapproachable because they're on the biggest stage are so open to connecting to folks and sharing their story and really being a part of a support system for you. So I definitely advocate, yes, for you and your role, networking is such a critical component to relationship building and management, all the things that you need to do to do your job really well. But when you're talking about leveling up, when you were talking about that piece, I was like, there are so many people in my past who I have connected with because I admire what they do. And I don't want to copy them, but I want to learn more about their story so that I can take the pieces from them that apply to me and I can put it in my own authentic blend of Melissa, and use whatever I can to build on what strengths I have and or overcome some of the challenges that I might have. And I might find a tool from one person because something that they did helped them overcome an anxiety or a fear, or, even just thinking about something as simple as public speaking. And yes, there's formulas, there are ways that you can practice, but learning from people who do it day in and day out, I think, is such a valuable resource or valuable tool. So that networking piece, I think, is a really big one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for me, for some people who might be new and not heard of the PA Way, so just for context, so in 2018, I was a full-time executive assistant, working, and I actually saw the concept for the PA Way in my dream, which is how it all came about. And I saw the whole concept in my sleep, and I got so excited by it. I was like, right, I'm going to Google it. Didn't know what it meant. And when I realized that it was a dream and I'd seen it, I then decided I'm going to go on a mission to create the PA Way. And the PA Way is a membership community platform for assistants all around the world and business support professionals. And obviously the link is up there. But one of the hardest things that I experienced was like, how and even now, 6 years on, I work on it full time. For example, last week I was in Malta with some amazing members of the PA Way, and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, how, in my head I was like, how did I get here? And then you have that element of imposter syndrome, thinking, okay, it came to me in a dream, and like now I'm in Malta. And leaning into the people, when I first started, I literally put a post on LinkedIn saying, hi everyone, I'm Skevi, I've got an idea for a little website. And then I would connect with leaders of the profession and just literally reach out to them. And they were like, yeah, of course, we'd love to, join you for a call or be of service. And now that I do it day in, day out myself, I have assistants messaging me, especially because I advocate for anti-bullying behavior, for anti-bullying behavior in the workplace. I get assistants messaging me saying, your stories really helped me, or this and that. And I operate an open inbox on LinkedIn as well. And it's really important that we all lean on each other for support, because when one of us levels up, we all level up, and it's a step in the right direction for us all. So what I mean is, if say Melissa was to do something that's a win for her and in her career in the profession, and Chris as well, that just pushes us forward even more to have our voice recognized as one profession. Because I couldn't understand when I'd entered the assistant profession, but bear in mind I'd gone from catering, when I kept getting told, you're just an assistant. And I was like, God, am I really bad at being an assistant that I keep getting this narrative? So then I had this imposter syndrome and anxiety that I wasn't meeting expectations. It was only when I started networking that I kept hearing from other colleagues, not everyone, but the majority, that they were also being told they're just an assistant. And I'm like, is this industry experiencing like this narrative where there's no reward, no recognition, no praise? And I was like, right, I have to do something about that. And with every fiber of my being, and I still do, is all aimed towards leveling up the profession. And we are absolutely incredible. And if there's one takeaway that you take from me today, is that without you, organizations cannot function. Okay, you have so much value and presence, and you're such rock stars. And if that voice ever gets in your head where you doubt yourself, just literally check in with me, Chris or Melissa, because we are huge advocates for you. And yeah, just keep going and keep raising your self-worth, and face the fear and do it anyway was my motto when I first stepped out on stage. I was like, who on earth now is in the audience that wants to hear about me and my story? And it was a jam-packed audience. And I still get fear of going on stage, even now, 6 years on. I'm there doing my breathing exercises backstage. But I get on the stage because there's such a mission attached to the work that I do, that is my driving force. So you almost have to find your why to face and overcome the challenges and do it anyway.
You said so many things that have me excited that I'm like, where do I start? First, I think what you were pointing to in terms of, finding the people who will cheer you on in those moments of despair, the moments of imposter syndrome, the moments where you're feeling so deflated because, you're hearing this external noise or narrative that is counter to what you believe about you, yourself, the profession. We are here. The people on the screen are 100% available for you, but that's also the beauty of joining these communities. The PA Way, IAAP, there are lots of different networks out there for administrative professionals. No one network is the network. I say the more the merrier, the more you can be really well connected to people who are doing this work, both on the advocacy side. So the people who are privileged like us to have a platform to speak on behalf of the profession, and the people who are working inside of the profession day in and day out. Like, that is the beauty of the community aspect of what we offer. So we offer training, we offer events. I know the PA Way does a phenomenal job of creating really awesome social interaction events and networking opportunities for EAs and admins and PAs. And that connection to the community, I think, is one of the greatest values that you as an individual can really gain from joining a network. So if I can advocate for, even outside of IAAP and the PA Way, like, do your research, go find those networks. And some of them you might find more value in than others. That is completely fine, fair, valid. I think both of us would say we are very biased about our own communities and our own networks, as we should be. But there's lots of opportunity out there. And I think finding that group where you have the resource when you're feeling, both when you're feeling, the need to celebrate, and when you're feeling really depleted or deflated, and you need that energy and that reminder that you are a rock star, you do, add incredible value to your organization. These are the communities who can help support you through those times. So I definitely advocate for joining those communities, and join as many as you possibly can, and get involved, meet people, talk to other people. We are available. We're accessible. I think that's a really great, that was one of the things that got me really excited when you were talking. The other piece that you mentioned, the external narrative about the profession, and you're just an admin, you can't do these things, the box that we get put inside of often in the workplace and business. And that happens to varying degrees depending on where you're located. The North American experience is a little bit different than some of the other parts of the world, but in general, it is a very undervalued role, underappreciated. Oftentimes it can be a catch-all position where, all the things that no one else wants to do get dumped onto the plate of the assistant. Those are all fairly common experiences. And we're speaking very generally on behalf of, an entire world experience. So I caveat that with, it definitely is, there's some diversity in that experience based on where you're located geographically. But one of the things that can really combat or help you resolve that conflict is building your internal arsenal, your internal confidence. Because when we seek that external validation to build the internal validation, it's fleeting, and it's hard to find. It's hard to find the external validation for the profession. It's easier to find in networks here, but out in business, out in the workplace, it's not easily or readily accessible. So one of the ways that you can advocate, even if you don't have a platform like we do, is building that internal validation system. So really uncovering, like, what are the things about me that make me amazing? And they're not going to be the same. Skevi and I have very different internal validation systems because we're different people. Some of them are similar, some of them are same, but a lot of them are different. And because I have done the work of really understanding what makes me uniquely qualified to do this job right now, to be a voice on behalf of the profession, I don't need the external validation. And when I get the external validation, it just affirms or validates what I already know about myself, or what maybe I didn't view as a strength.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe this is a strength. Maybe I was putting this on a, platform of opportunity and or something that it just isn't in my wheelhouse. But I'm hearing from all these other folks that they appreciate this part of my presence or what I have to offer. Maybe I need to look at that a little bit deeper. But instead of using the external validation to build my own confidence, it can just enhance the confidence that I already have in myself. And that is not an easy task, especially when you're living inside of an ecosystem that doesn't give you a lot of external validation. So I don't want to dismiss how difficult that is for admins, but I will say if you're ready and willing to do that internal discovery work and then really building that self-confidence, finding out what your strengths are and really leaning into those, that can really help you advocate on behalf of an entire profession without even knowing it, because it impacts how you show up in the workplace. You no longer allow or accept you're just an admin. It changes how you receive that information. It changes what you're willing to accept inside of a job each and every day. It can boost your confidence even to say it's time for a change. Like I've been sitting here for too long accepting all of this negative external validation. I deserve better. I deserve to be in a role in a workplace that's going to value me for my worth.
Oh, I love all of that, Melissa. And one of the things I really admire about you and our friendship as well is that when you say the things that you say, I know that you mean them with every fiber of your being. And it's so authentic. And for me, every interaction that I've had with you, it's like you genuinely care. And I think that's what's so important. And, for me, I created the platform, the PA Way, because I wanted to create the platform I wish I had when I was an EA, because I felt so lonely. Even though I was in a whole office with how many other admins, I felt really lonely. And there wasn't anything for me that I was like, kind of, when I was exploring for like my own networking and confidence, I was like, you know what, I want something that's almost a little bit like fun and fresh and can give me training and events and social connection and all that. So I created the PA Way, which I wish I had when I was an EA. And our community is known as the Assistant Hood. We sell these on the website, by the way, and we ship worldwide, because I have a few people in the chat that know what the Assistant Hood is. I've noticed, just before I answer Melissa's question, some people have asked about membership. Yes, the doors to membership are currently closed and we're operating a wait list. They had been closed for 6 months, just because every time we only open periodically in the year. And there's only like a 3-day window for you to level up, as we say, and to join. So doors are locked. If you are interested in joining, membership is global, and you can get on the wait list so that when doors open, you get VIP priority access to join. And believe me, once those doors are open, they will lock for a long, long time afterwards. And the reason that we do that is because we want every single person to be onboarded, and to feel special, and to introduce them into our Assistant Hood community. But for me, and Melissa, going back to what you were saying about, you're not just an admin. One of the biggest kind of mindset shifts for me was when I was working at one of the companies, and I remember doing like lots of preparation for like a big board meeting, conference kind of thing, and I'd spent weeks on my own planning it and helping the executives. And when it came to like the final day, I remember going with like my clipboard and my notes and everything ready to go take the minutes for this meeting. And I walked into the room and the executives were already there. And I walked in and I was like, good afternoon, everyone. And they all looked at me and they went, what are you doing here? And I just went, I'm here because I'm the one that's arranging the meetings and to be of support, and also to take the minutes. And as I'm very much involved with like the senior leadership team, and one of the executives turned around and said, no, you're not sitting at the board table, you're just the assistant, can you get out of the room and like leave like a dictaphone to take the minutes? And I was really taken aback, and this was a room full of like high-powered execs, and I just kind of got taken aback. And I am an empath to a very, very high degree, and I am naturally introverted. If you see me on stage and things, you would not think at all. But I am very extroverted with the PA way, but on a social level, I'm absolutely introverted to the core. And I just remember thinking like kind of fight or flight response. And he turned around and he said, can you get out of the room? You're just the assistant. You don't have a seat at the board table. And as I was about to walk off and, probably have like a moment of upset, I don't know what it is, whether it was the universe interjecting a greater force, I don't know what it is. But I remembered myself, how I felt, and I remembered every single colleague in our profession that I've met who have told me their stories and shared their experiences. I'm not going to cry. And I just shared their experiences. And I turned around and I said to this group of executives, that's okay, boss. There's going to be a day where I create my own board table and every assistant around the world can join me. Just watch me. And I closed the door and I left. Now, don't get me wrong. As soon as I went around the corner, I was like, oh my gosh, did I just say that? But I'd got to a point where I was like, I'm so tired of our profession being disrespected and being told we have no worth, So that was kind of like my Erin Brockovich moment, kind of like.
I love it too. I love that you actually said the thing in the moment, because there's so many of us who walk away from those moments and are like, oh, I should have said this, or I should have done this. So
yeah. And like I was like, oh my God, I went back to my desk and I kind of hiding in the corner. I thought, oh my God, you are so fired when they come out of that meeting. Pack your bags, pack your posh stationery that you bought from Paper Chase. Like, girl, you are gone. And the boss actually came over to me and he said, where did that fire come from? And I said, well, how would you like it if I kept disrespecting you and your role? And he said, bring that fire to the next meeting. He goes, because everyone was really impressed that you stood up for yourself and we want that confidence. He goes, next meeting, he goes, you're sitting next to me. And I was like, what? And he was like, that's the kind of, tenacity that we're after. So it kind of paid off in that sense. And I'm not imploring everyone to kind of like start answering back to their bosses and things. But at that point, for me, it was kind of like, I've got nothing else to lose. And I will create a board table where assistants get to pull up a seat. And I have done that virtually with the PA Way and our events. I mean, we do events, Melissa and Chris, where people come and they've only been talking to each other inside the PA Way app, or they've been talking to each other like, online at events. And then when they meet each other in person, you're like, oh my God, hi, and hugging each other. And that just shows you the power of our community. So kind of find that light inside of you. Don't ever, ever let anybody take that light away from you. And I always say at the PA Way, I want people to shine so brightly, to live their truest, most authentic self, that everybody else around them is going to need to put sunglasses on, because you shine brightly and proudly. And that's kind of my goal with the PA Way.
I love it. I am seeing branded sunglasses now.
Yeah, brand. Don't make me add any more.
I'm sorry.
I went in Malta. They've already asked me for stickers, flasks, tote bags, everything else. So the PA Way shop will eventually become like a full-on Amazon.
I was going to say, we have a very similar challenge with the IAAP community. I love that everybody loves the branded gear, but all of these ideas and trying to keep a store or a shop of those branded items is not an easy feat. So I don't mean to throw out these ideas for you. Your origin story, I mean, that really is like such that origin story of, you reached the breaking point of, I will no longer be treated this way. And, it manifested in something really great for you. And that's not always the case with folks. There are lots of origin stories that we hear, or not even origin stories, but just stories from our community of folks who, have advocated for themselves time and time again. They're showing up for a pay raise discussion or a job description update, and they're reaching a leadership who is not open to hearing what they have to say, or it dismisses what they bring to the table through whatever way. I mean, there are hundreds of excuses that we hear all of the time from the administrative workforce. But on the flip side of that, we have some really great stories about organizations who are really interested in engaging, especially with IAAP, engaging these communities who are advocating on behalf of the profession, and can actually, that's another benefit of the community, is you have this network who can stand behind you, and we have data to support all of the things that you are asking for, and to support that when we elevate and advance the profession inside of an organization, it has a direct impact on the organization's success. So if we can connect that with data for you, and with support, and with examples of other organizations who are doing it, that is where the magic, in my opinion, happens for the people who are sitting inside of spaces where they don't feel like they have somebody on the other side who is open to hearing the conversation, or is ready to talk about how they can level up, and how that can level up the work of the organization. Because having you at the table actually levels up the work in that room.
Exactly.
So, this idea that the work that they're doing at that table is, so advanced that you can't contribute to it. That is a myth that has been debunked time and time again, because when you actually include the administrative voices at the table, you get a richer discussion, you get more thoughtful dialogue, and your decisions become more effective because you have that perspective and that voice that you were missing when you were making decisions on behalf of people whose voices were not even at the table. So I think the fact that we as admins can bring the voice of the rest of an organization to a table, whether it's a board table, a senior leadership meeting, it could just be with you and your executive, and your executive is talking about something that's going to impact a future decision. Your voice adds value to those conversations and to those discussions. So once people recognize that and experience it, there is no going back. There's, it's like turning the light on. Once you turn the light on, you can't turn it back off. So there's definitely a story here that it feels like it's starting to swell. And the more that we experience it, the more stories we have to tell and to support the work that we're doing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love your story, Skevi, and thank you for
you.
sharing it.
No, thank you. And it's exactly like what you said. There are all assistants that I speak to that unfortunately have had experiences like me where they weren't supported. But then I hear so many incredible stories from assistants where they're like, yeah, I'm fully invested in, I get learning and development and things like that. And I'm like, yes, we need to strive more for that. And how do we get everybody going in the right direction? And in the PA Way, for example, so every Monday, inside the PA Way app, which I built, I can't do an Excel spreadsheet. When we were talking about anxiety, if you want to give me immediate anxiety, tell me that you need a spreadsheet making or a PowerPoint. I will be breathing into a paper bag. But yeah, can't do Excel, can't do spreadsheets, can't do PowerPoints, but apparently I can build apps. But anyway, inside the PA Way app on a Monday, I get the Loyal Royals, which is the name of our members who take out a membership. I get our Loyal Royal members to set a Monday promise, which they abbreviate to MP. And basically what that is something that could be even something small, like this week I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk, or this week I'm going to have a difficult conversation with my boss because I want to have a pay rise. Whatever it looks like to them, it's based on accountability. So everyone in our assistanthood community keeps them accountable. And then on a Friday, we do the weekly win. So we reflect back on Monday. Did you do what you said that you wanted your intention to be for the week? And if so, are you celebrating it on a Friday? And the support is unbelievable. And the reason that I get people to do that is to keep them intentional about kind of their own own well-being and their own joy. When you're in a role like the roles that we have been in and currently are, we're always there to deliver like A-class service to those who we support, whether that's your stakeholders, executive, clients, etc. But often or not, we find that our own well-being is depleted because we give so much to the people that we support. And what I do at the PA Way, it's like Michaela just put in the chat as well. Skevi, bless you, Michaela. She put, Skevi encourages me to love me, as in her, more and more. And that's what I'm imploring you all to do. You need to be pouring into your own cup and fill that. I read a lot of books about entrepreneurs because obviously I've got my own business. I read a lot about entrepreneurs and influential leaders. And there's one thing that they do not negotiate on. And I've read books from all sorts of leaders. I'm currently reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book because that guy is just incredible. Is that they never defer from their routine that pours into their well-being. So, you've got entrepreneurs that every morning they do like some exercise, or they'll do journaling, or they'll, pray, whatever it is. That's their time to carve out of the diary to pour into theirs. And the more you pour into your own self-love and your own self-care, you affirm to yourself, I have value. And from that value, you actually become quite strict with your non-negotiables. So from those non-negotiables, you then build up such an inner level of confidence and dialogue that you're like, kind of what Melissa was saying earlier, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. Anybody else telling me that I'm awesome just reaffirms how amazing I am. And when you get to that point, because you've been conditioning your mind and your skill set with these routines and rituals, trust me, your self affirmations will increase. And one of the things that I get when I meet like entrepreneurs and things like that, they say to me, right, Skevi, in less than 20 seconds, tell me what is your goal at the PA Way? And I obviously have loads, but I say to them, I want to make assistance so powerful, so incredible that then when they walk into a room with their executive, you won't know who the boss is. And they're like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to level up assistance to a point where if, the sports car turns up, you won't know who it is. Because that's what I want. Because assistants have executive presence, they have power, they have influence, they are key decision makers, they hold the purse strings to a lot of events and things like that. So tell me how you can take somebody with so much multi-skilled talent and so much executive presence, and tell me again how they don't have any worth. You wouldn't even know what time your lunch break is or what you're having for lunch if it wasn't for your assistant. And that's said my piece. It's the redhead in me. It comes out again. I do apologize.
We're going to call it passion. We are both very passionate individuals about the profession.
Redhead mixed with Mediterranean blood. I mean, what a combination, right?
I really could not agree more, though. I mean, I love the visualization of your elevator speech, like the not recognizing which one is the executive and which one is the EA. Number one, I personally believe there are folks who are achieving that today, and there are people in our community who are experiencing that phenomenon because the partnership is a true partnership where it doesn't matter. There's no hierarchy there. They're both contributing. They might be contributing in different ways or through different avenues in different lanes, but that partnership just, when you experience it when you meet them.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the executive is, who's the EA. It's a partnership. Exactly. And they're presenting the world with whatever it is that they're working on, doing it together, doing it as one unit, maybe just approaching it from different angles, different ways. So I I so feel your fire and your passion
I
about
need
that.
to wear a hoodie. I need to just wear a hoodie. It's the red hair. And someone's just put in the chat. I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry, but is it Francois? Francois put no prisoners, and you're speaking my love language there. Please do connect with me, everybody, on LinkedIn if we're not already connected. And honestly, like for me, yes, it is a strategic partnership, and you have to, work in line with whatever your executive or stakeholders' needs are. But what I'm trying to say is, don't lose yourself in the process. You have value. You are so unique. And if you ever hear me on stage presenting my signature presentation, the CEO to your glow, on that presentation, I basically do an exercise where I get everybody to close their eyes, and I get them to put their hand over their heart, and we have like literally like 20 seconds of quiet. And when they open their eyes, I have like a slide that's like a starlit sky, and I basically tell them there are over like 8 billion people on the planet, and the atoms and the kind of science and everything that had to collide to make each of us on this call. I mean, I can find the statistics. It's through the roof. It's something like trillion, 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 trillion. There will never be another one of you. And the reason that I get them to put their hand over their heart is to remember that you are alive, and this is your gift, that you are here in this moment in time. This is like our go around, so to speak, in 2024. And just don't lose yourself in the process of being, of amazing support to other people, because the more you focus on your own self-care, your confidence will increase, and you'll actually find that you'll start to become a bit assertive when people are trying to devalue your negotiables. So I have a little ritual every morning at like between 10 and 10:30. I'm a matcha latte enthusiast. Like, I'm obsessed with matcha, like the green tea. So for me, between 10 and 10:30 UK time, I make like a matcha latte, and I go off my emails for a bit, and I just re-ground myself, and I have my matcha. That's my little ritual that just ticks my little self-care checklist for the day. But it's these rituals that pour into my own cup, so that I'm like, you know what? It's 10:30 now. I'm ready to get back on the emails and start creating content. So find whatever it is for you. It could be even something small, like even like a bubble bath or reading a chapter of your book. But if you read any entrepreneur book or anything like that, you will see that the people who are very, very successful do not waver from their routines and rituals that sets them up for success. If they want to, like, I'm reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book at the moment, and he has a time where he's like, he lives in the gym, obviously, but he's like, if I don't do that, I'm no use to everybody else, because I need to clear my mind and make myself physically strong to be in the best shape. So kind of see yourself as a working project, and think to yourself, right, how can I level up myself here? What friendships give me joy? What relationships, or working or personal, give me joy? And if there's people in your life that aren't celebrating your wins, oh my gosh, head over to me, Melissa and Chris, because we will be there, bells, trophies, everything, to celebrate your wins, because you deserve it.
Yeah, and don't compromise on that. So number one, I can absolutely affirm everything that you're saying about successful people, and it's not just entrepreneurs. It is people who are even in the administrative profession who are partnering at a level that we are dreaming out loud about. You will find one thing in common with all of them is they do not compromise on their boundaries and their non-negotiables. And those boundaries and non-negotiables are set up around well-being, personal, individual well-being. So that looks like routine. That looks like maintaining, whatever boundary you need to be authentically you and to show up as your whole self each and every day to do the work that we do. Do not compromise on those boundaries. So I have a routine just like you, Skevi. I walk, my husband and I go for a walk every single morning, with very few exceptions throughout the year. Sometimes travel schedules, even when I'm traveling, I try to at least, it might be a shorter walk, But we start our morning and we start very early. We are part of the early morning riser club. And that is something that I do not compromise on. So if that means that I have to shift somebody needs time on my calendar early morning, either I shift my time earlier or I say no to that meeting. And Chris obviously helps support me in that, but I have created space in my time and my calendar in my world where that's not even that usually isn't even an issue because it's such a routine that happens in my day that it is built in to what I do, and it establishes my success for each and every day. It's a space for, number one, me to connect with my partner, and number two, for me to start my day in a way that isn't related to work or to anything external. It's very focused on something that I need in order to support my health and well-being. And so find your thing, you know, and do not compromise on it. Figure out how to build it into your day, your week, your month, and hold the boundary. It's a really important part of you being able to show up as your full authentic self. And the other thing that I wanted to mention in response to something you said is I do think we also need to raise the bar on what we expect of our executives. So your executive shouldn't need you to tell you when their lunch break is. Your executive should rely on you to show up as a partner in this space, not as a caregiver, not as someone who's chasing them around, making sure that they're doing the things that they need to do, or they're in the places where they need to be. And that's not a disparaging remark. I just think that is contributing to the narrative that exists out there around what we do and what the administrative position or role should and could be when we buy into the, oh, my executive can't tie his shoes without me. So let's raise the bar on what we're expecting our leaders to do. I do not, I hope Chris and I are never in a space or a point in our relationship where he feels like he's having to hold my hand, or I wouldn't be able to get through my day if he didn't manage my calendar or, didn't tell me, hey, you have a flight at 5 a.m. We work in partnership. I am in charge of me and myself, and what he contributes is in support of us achieving strategic goals, achieving mission, and yeah, there's some mundane day-to-day routine tasks built in there. But that is like the 10% of the space where Chris and I live. The 90% of our time is in partnership on, how are we going to do this how are we going to get this work done? How are we going to achieve this very lofty mission or goal or strategy? Or how are we going to present this to the board? Yeah. How are we going to present this to the board? Not how is he going to ensure that I show up on time to the board meeting? So again, that's not to disparage. I know that we live in a world where a lot of you are supporting executives who may not be in full charge of themselves because they have you to rely on. They're falling back on, I know my assistant's going to be there to tell me where I need to be and tell me what I need to do. So I'm not going to worry about that. It just feeds this narrative that it is a hierarchy relationship, that, you're here you're here just to do these things, when in fact we could elevate that entire conversation by raising the bar for both people in the partnership. What we're asking leaders to do is what we're asking both of you to do. We're asking everyone to embody these leadership competencies, both for self and on behalf of whatever work it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and 100%. And somebody put in the comments like manage up, and I think that's really true. And thank you for sharing that. And what I remember back in one of my old roles, my executive, he was challenging me in a lot of ways because he was a very strong personality. And, you know, if we did personality tests, he would be on the one side, I would be on the other. And I personally love the Myers-Briggs personality test. So I don't know if there's anyone that's done that, but I'm an INFJ, so very intuitive and all about the feelings. Nothing's changed there. But he knew that I was sensitive, and he was very like demanding and stuff. And then I remember one day I was at my desk, and I don't know if anyone's had one of these days where you're like, I've done everything that I can, and it's still like irritating them, and they're probably just in one of those moods. And he looked at me, and I was sitting there and I was a bit deflated. And he goes, what's up? And I said to him, you've been very challenging all day. And I says, you know, and I'm still stepping up to the plate, but I just need to remind you one thing. And he went, what? I went, I'm on your team. And he looked at me and he sat back and he went, yeah, he goes, you are? He goes, I forgot that. He goes, like, I need to regroup my thoughts to remember that you're actually here to help me. You're not kind of like a client or someone that's like, you know, trying to cause me more issues. You're here to support me. And when I said to him, I'm on your team, he completely changed after that. And every morning he was going, come on, like all-star, give me a high five. And, you know, he really thought that, you know, we were like the Varsity Blues or whatever, you know, and he was being really, really supportive. But sometimes it just takes like a quick, like diagnostic check with them just to kind of make them realize I'm here to help you. Stop seeing me as the barrier. Stop seeing me as the block in the road. I'm here to support you. And that, you know, you've got to have these healthy conversations with them and be transparent as well. And so yeah, it's just really interesting just how, you know, working with different personalities and things as well.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. I mean, I think there's so much opportunity there in the space of, you know, learning preferences, and partnering really is about understanding each other's, and no matter how you approach the personality conversation, you know, everyone is different, and some of those personalities create conflict. So understanding and partnership, like there's probably going to be some pain points between the two of you based on how you see the world differently, how you experience the world differently. So being able to have an open and honest conversation, I love the approach that you took. I mean, I love that your executive asked, like, clearly they were in tune enough to know something is off here, what's going on. Take the opportunity when you hear the ask, take the opportunity to be honest. And you really can open up doors to conversations just by saying the truth in a moment, even when it is really uncomfortable to say the truth, or it may be difficult to say the truth. You know, I have found even when people aren't ready to receive it or hear it, I have always felt much more aligned to my core values when I speak the truth versus when I hold on to it. And you walk away. We all know the experience, and you walk away from a situation and you're like, I should have said this, or I should have done this. You know, say the thing, do it in a respectful, you know, way, do it in a way that honors both of you, but say it. Don't hold on to it. Don't sit there and take it away. You know, take the opportunity, especially if someone asks you, jump on that opportunity to say the truth.
Yeah, and if it ever gets ever overwhelming for anybody in the chat on this call, or if you ever feel like, you know what, I just need to get a coffee chat and just offload to someone, please do message me on LinkedIn as well, and just drop into my emails, because you're not alone. And myself, Chris, and Melissa, you know, we're here to support you because we genuinely want to see you win. We are your biggest like cheerleaders, and you know, we're here to support. So don't ever, even if you're at work and you're thinking, my God, you know, Skevi's in the UK, I might just drop her a message. Please do, because our loyal Royal members will tell you as well, like, I'm literally here every step of the way because I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like, and I'm here to help you. And I think Chris has popped in the chat that we're back over to Q&A. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, if we want to take a couple of questions, we have one that's come in, and then we're just about at time. So
yeah. Chris, did I see a question? You said, Skevi, we have a question about Keynote.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, what was that one?
Yeah, no problem. We had a question from Meredith. Thanks, Meredith, for the question about if you offer Keynote sessions remotely and in maybe like 30-minute blocks. sounds like that Meredith's looking for a possible keynote speaker.
Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm available 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time duration you need. I do both in-person events and I do online, and I do travel globally to deliver for organizations both online and in person. So if that is of interest, please anyone on the call, just pop me an email. Absolutely happy to help. Yeah, Shantari is called. Wow, time flew by. Yeah, it's you know, I feel like I really could talk to Melissa for hours and hours.
Same.
Chris. Yeah, yeah. And anyone want to ask any questions to us? Or just even share your thoughts. It doesn't even need to be a question. If you've had a key takeaway from anything that we've said. And I absolutely agree that Chris is an absolute stellar executive assistant, like literally absolutely stellar, a consummate professional the whole way.
I'm not sure what generation that makes us, but when we make our heart like
I know, right?
I've lost track of all of the heart, different types of hearts, but I could not agree more. Chris is a rock star. Thank you all for joining us today for this chat. I hope Skevi and I can create more opportunities like this to get together. And I echo everything that Skevi has said. Reach out. I think both of our LinkedIn profiles have been posted in chat. So please connect with us if you're not already connected. She and I both are huge LinkedIn advocates and try to share as much as we possibly can out there about the work that we're both doing at IAAP and the PA Way. And I will say it again, loud and clear, join both communities. They are both incredibly valuable opportunities for you all to learn and grow and connect with one another. So hopefully we will stay connected with you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And please do share on socials if you've, enjoyed the session, because the more, people in our profession can hear it, that you guys enjoyed the experience, the more that, we understand that there's a need for these types of sessions. And Melissa and I and Chris can put more content to make it readily available for you. So please do share and tag us in on LinkedIn so that we can celebrate you on socials as well. And first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you for taking time out of your diary today to join this and for your continued learning and development. That is how you level up. And so, yeah, very proud of you all. So thank you so much for joining.
Definitely.
So, yeah, and over to you, Chris.
Yeah, I think that concludes our session. It looks like we've got the questions answered, and yeah, just echo both Melissa and Skevi's comments. Thank you for joining us. This has been wonderful, amazing conversation, chatter, and support in the chat. So amazing to see our colleagues, supporting one another like that, and look forward to the next round.
Yeah, no, thank you both as well for Melissa and Chris for inviting me. And yeah, I get a lot of people asking me, when are you going to become PA Way USA? So I actually have a vision board here. That's probably a whole webinar for another time, but I have America flag on my vision board. I'm going to keep manifesting that I get to the States to meet you all in person. And if any of the USA, Canadian lot, wherever you are, want to come over to the UK, please do reach out, because we'd love to welcome you to an event as well. And we'll be your tour guides of everything British.
That's amazing. Yeah, I predict that you might be in the States at some point in the very near future. I'm hoping.
The loyal royals from England, if you're on this call, let's keep manifesting that we get to the States. And very well said, Deborah there. She's put, Skevi wants to go New England. That is on her vision board. New England has been on my vision board for 6 years in a row. New England is like, yeah, even now I'm just looking at it. New England is #1 on my vision board as well. So yeah, but if anyone wants to come to Birmingham, where I'm based, do let me know, because we have Cadbury World. I don't know if anyone knows what we have. A chocolate factory, basically. We have a real life Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in Birmingham, where I live.
Now we are all putting that on our vision boards.
Yes, I like Birmingham too. Someone's put add Atlanta to your board. Okay, I'll add that as well. Yeah. Someone's put Birmingham. Cheryl's put Birmingham.
Duran.
Yes. And UB40 as well. I don't know if anybody knows that band, but UB40 are from Birmingham as well.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hell yeah to the lobster, Kathleen. Thanks for that. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and I'll hand over to Chris for any closing remarks.
Yeah, no, I think we're set. Thanks, Skevi. Thanks so much for joining. We will be sure to post this recording for anyone that couldn't join us, but we're so glad that for those that could, and thank you for taking time out of your day, and have a good rest of it, whether
Thank
it's
you,
early or
everyone.
late.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone. Take
Bye.
care.
See you
Bye.
later.